Hi, hello. This is December 6th, Saturday, and I have my microphones in, and I'm over at James's house, and I have my little studio room. I really prefer videoing at my house, but anyway, I have a verse for today that I have used many times, and I had a niece that was in Bible school, and she said this is what got her through so many times. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. There's so much stuff we do not understand. Let God do it. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. He'll do it. So, anyway, I didn't know if I was going to cut a video today or not, but James is watching a ball game, so I thought I'd come back in this little studio and talk a little while about some of my Christmases, or at least one of them that we had that was so much fun. I did have some Christmases when I was a little girl that was awful because when we moved on the farm, we had no money. And that is about the time I discovered there was no Santa Claus, about 10 years old. Well, I knew it when I was 9, but 10 I knew for sure. And that year we was so out of money. So Daddy and Mom tried to do the best they could, and they gave me a pair of gloves. And I was glad for them, really. But it was, we had had good Christmases and nice presents before then, because when we lived down in Virginia and up in the Skyline Drive, Daddy had money, and we had Christmases that was so much fun, and I still remember them. I remember one in particular. Daddy was having so much fun with us because he says, Santa Claus is coming tonight, and I'm going to be watching for him. And y'all going to watch with me? So we went outside the little in Skyline Drive. Daddy worked for we was building the Skyline Drive, and he worked for that. And we lived in a little hut that could be pulled from site to site. So he'd go out, and the weather was warm up there that night. It wasn't real cold. And we run out and we'd look up at the sky, and he said, can you see him yet? Can you see him? Santa Claus is coming. If you look up there, you're liable to see him. And he had us doing that 2 or 3 times. That was so much fun because I was about 7 or 8, probably 7, and Norman was 5, and Phyllis was 3. Tommy, I don't know where he was. He was a bald-headed little old baby, and he was younger than Phyllis. So we all would go look. And finally he said, well, I guess he's going to be late. So y'all just go ahead and go to bed. He will come, I guarantee it. So we went to bed, and when we got up the next morning, there was gifts there. Santa Claus had come, and I got a doll and a little buggy, and Phyllis got a doll and a little buggy. We pushed that thing everywhere. We put our baby dolls in that. We'd push it up and down the road, and there on the Skyline Drive. And Norman, I believe that's the year he got a little sailor suit or something, a little military uniform, and some cap guns that you put it in and it goes bang, bang, bang. And he had so much fun with that, and he looked so cute in his little outfit that he got. He just felt so important because he was about 5 years old. And that was a fun Christmas. Now, I remember another Christmas, and I can't remember exactly where it was at, but that year, Mom and Dad, I don't think, had a lot of money. So they got me and Phyllis because if I got a doll, Phyllis got a doll. And I like dolls because I had one that its eyes went up and down, and it was just beautiful, and it lasted a long time, but I don't know, they wear out or something. I don't know what happened to it. But that year, they gave us 2 rag dolls. Now, these rag dolls had painted on eyes, yarn hair for yarn, and talk about ugly. Phyllis just loved hers. I was a little older, and I said, this is not even really a baby doll. This don't even seem to feel like a baby because it didn't weigh nothing. It was just real lightweight. They just stuffed it with cotton or something. So I got real aggravated with it. And I was always an explorer. So I decided I would make that baby doll weigh more like a baby doll So I took the scissors and I cut its back out. It was cloth. And then I put something heavy in there. I don't know what I put, but I put something that might have been rocks. I don't know what it was. After all, I was only like 6, 7 years old. And then that baby doll felt like a baby doll because it weighed something. Mom sewed it back up for me. And I had a baby doll that felt like a baby doll. And Phyllis loved hers. I learned to love mine after I gave it an operation and made it a little heavier because, it just felt like a, a nothing. So I had fun with it. Now, I don't remember too many Christmases. I think the most fun Christmas I had was the year that we was moving and they lost my cat. See, we lived in Smith Holler in that little red house, and Daddy had a, a model Ford that has a rumble seat in the back and a seat in front. Well, I had a cat and I've told this before, that I was just crazy about, called Old Bum, and he put him in a cardboard box. Well, before we got to Cumberland Gap, Old Bum disappeared, and that was like on Christmas, close to it. I don't know if it was Christmas night, and when we stopped, and I've discovered Old Bum I just threw a fit. I just cried and bawled and squalled and carried on something awful. And there was a store there in Cumberland Gap that was open, and it was either right before Christmas or something like that. And Daddy had a little money, and he bought me a baby doll that its eyes would open and close. And that's the one I love the best of all my childhood. She had beautiful blue eyes, and if she laid back in your arms, she would shut her eyes, and you could just sing her to sleep, which I couldn't sing worth anything. But anyway, and then when it gets up, it opens its eyes, and that baby doll made me the happiest Christmas I think I ever had. Now, when I finally got married and had children, we gave our kids, we didn't have a lot of money a lot of time, but we gave our kids nice Christmases, and we put up a Christmas tree and they helped decorate it and put tinsel on it. And I'd let them make popcorn and string it, and they'd do that, and they would make decorations, and uh, we would have Christmas tree. We haven't even put up one this year. I just haven't been in the mood. Seems like it's just getting away from me time. James has got to bring it from the shed for one thing. And I told him today, I talk to him sometimes. I, I'm changing the subject now. You know how I change the subject. Well, in our bedroom, I have a window air unit that I don't want taken out. So excuse me, I bought a pair of insulated uh, curtains that knocks all the light out, and it's dark. And so the ones he has in there now are thin, and he put them up before we moved here. He always puts curtains up in his houses when he redoes them. He puts mini blinds and curtains, and so those curtains, they didn't even match. Now the ones by our bed, it has two windows. It's an insulated uh, that makes everything real dark, which I like. I like to sleep in the dark, so I bought this from Amazon, and it's there now, and it's sitting on the coffee table, that pair of curtains. It's two, and they're burgundy, the same color as the ones we have up already. So I said to him, I said, honey, what time today do you think you will put our curtains up? I said, and I don't mean next week, and I don't mean 3 weeks from now, because we're off today and we don't have a whole lot to do. And I said, and I'm not climbing because I'd have to climb to put them on, and he's tall. He said, it's not going to be a problem. Hallelujah. So I'm waiting in anticipation. But these are heavy enough to come right down over the bedroom unit and keep the cold air out, because it gets colder in there, and I have to keep a heater on in the bedroom because the furnace don't warm it up in there. Isn't this fascinating? I tell you the truth sometimes. Oh, I don't know why in the world, y'all. It beats me. But anyway, I like chattering, so I just chatter on. But I don't know what kind of Christmas we'll have this year. But yesterday, I got the fish I wanted, and they give you so much there's two big pieces of fish. It's called Japanese catfish, and they are good. And I got baked beans and a good salad. And so there was enough fish because you can only eat a half a piece. So I ate a half piece, and then I had salad left over because it was a big side salad and baked beans. And I put that for lunch, and yummy, yummy. Last night's supper was good. Today lunch was good. And I am so looking forward to getting my cataracts off. And I got the drops I have to put in my eyes before it that arrived today. But I decided that I would keep glasses. Now, glasses are kind of aggravating, but I don't think I want to go without glasses because I like glasses. What do y'all think? Don't you like glasses? But even though they reflect sometimes, I just like the looks of it better. It just pleases me more. So I decided to get um, bifocals would be on the bottom, and the top you don't need any prescription. And I think Billie Jean, just me, Billie Jean, the one that takes care of his mama. Uh, I think he must have got his done because sometimes to look better, he wears a pair of glasses and they don't have no glass in them at all. He said he likes the way it looks. That's what he said. And I ordered me one of those machines that I can't pronounce the name, elliptical machine or something like that, that'll do your feet up and down while you're sitting still. And I think that would be good for my neuropathy. They said it might be. Now, my neuropathy is not too bad today, and I have not treated my feet, but I'm going to do it later because I use a thing called the Rebuilder. And I do kind of get in the Christmas decorations spirit. So I see these are so cute, and I like to wear them around Christmas time. I might just wear them every day and just shake them every place I go. They're cute. This morning we was down at the uh, store, Methodist, the Methodist thrift store. And anyway, James's light, that his reading light that sits by his chair, it quit working. It wouldn't do three-way lighting anymore, and they had some really pretty lights down there used for $8. So anyway, he asked the man that runs the place. He said, "How much is this one?" And the man told him $8. He said, "Oh," James did. He said five. The guy said five. James says, "I like it." So we brought it home, and it works really good, and it's really pretty. We find some really good deals at these thrift stores, honestly. And that light and it's a three-way. He wants three-way because sometimes he likes it low, and he likes, and then when he reads, he wants it more brighter. And I like red. Red is cheery and cheers me up, cheer y'all up. Let's all be cheered up. That's why I quoted a little earlier that the girl that does the checking out down there at the thrift store, she's a pretty little woman and not very big, and she's been widowed a long time. And she's a good, sweet Methodist. It's the kind that don't think of a man as a woman and a woman as a man, and they don't believe in the clergy being homosexual. They're the ones that straight from the Bible, that believe the Bible like it is, where the Bible says either you're a man or you're a woman. That's just the way it is. You're born boy or girl. You are not born not sick. You are a boy or a girl, and that's just the way God did it. But anyway, she was telling me about, she's 87. And I said, "Well, have you got a boyfriend now?" She said, "No, but I have a picture of a guy from the Methodist church here where she goes. And she's been going there for years. And his picture is on the wall." She said, "We dated 14 years, but we never got married. But we ate out together and had a lot of good times together. And he passed away a couple of years ago, and he was either 89 or 90. And she's 87. And I says, "Well, you think you want to ever date anymore?" She said, "No." She said there was somebody at church that told her there was this guy that wanted to go out with her. And she told him, she said, "I'm just too busy," because she works 3 days a week for the thrift store and stays busy putting stuff out. And then she's the cashier when we all get down there on Friday and Saturday, and we visit a lot of our friends. It's a meeting place. and she's just sweet as she can be. And she say they have, when they get religious stuff in, they make a stack of it. If it's a book on religion or anything, and I have got some really good books on religion and Jesus and all stuff like that. They give it away free. You don't even have to pay for it. And I have got some good ones, and I've enjoyed them. So anyway, I'm going to hush because this is Saturday afternoon. To Sunday's coming. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow. Seems like sometimes I'm just not in the mood to chit chat, kiddos. Sometimes that happens. Who would believe it? I've got a lot on my mind thinking about getting my eyes fixed, but I got the drops that I'm supposed to put in my eyes came today, and it's a compounded. This medicine that you put in your eyes is compounded, which insurance don't pay for it. It was $75, but it'll cover both surgeries. Do you think I should change my mind and get my eyes fixed to where I don't need to wear glasses? Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep glasses. I think I for sure have made my mind up. You know how wishy-washy some people are. Sometimes I get a little wishy-washy. I change my mind on the drop of a hat, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I think I want to keep glasses. I might get me, you know what I might do? I might get me some of them big old frames, that are stylish now. I'll try some on. Who knows? I might not keep these. I might get me some big old round ones. You see them on TV all the time, and they wear them down like that, kind of, and let you see their eyebrows. Well, my eyebrows needs look. Sometimes I cheat and put a little bit of eyebrow pencil right on that, but I didn't do that today because if I wear glasses, you can't hardly tell it, or I can't. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, while we was down at the thrift store, this other woman come by and she says, "I want to show you this," and she pulled her phone out. She said, "Look at this." And so finally she found it. It took her a while to find it and get it all lined out. And I looked at it. She said, "See this woman here? She travels all these thrift stores, and we run into her, and we took a picture of her the other day. She looks like, she says she's a little old woman. And I looked at her, and she looked like she's about 60 years old. She dresses up for the season and just goes everywhere dressed up for Christmas, Thanksgiving, wears hats, wears, and whatever the season is, she dresses like it. So she was as cute as a button. She said, "Have you ever seen her?" And I said, "No, I've never seen her. I'd like to run into her. I'd do a video for sure, but I haven't seen her." And I thought, maybe I ought to start doing that. Of course, I wear red flowers. And if you wear a flower in your hair, people will, they love it. And they will say, "I just love your flower. That looks so pretty," because it cheers them up. And it cheers me up I've been doing that for years, wearing flowers in my hair. So I'm done. So may the Lord bless you, and He will go before us and make those crooked places straight. And I remembered a couple of Christmases. I remember when we used to have Thanksgiving, I let them bring their friends home from college, and we had some great Thanksgivings back then. And one time at Thanksgiving, we had a fire in our home, and we was out of our home for a whole month. But times come and times go, and with the help of the Lord, you just make it through, kiddos. And I don't forget to pray for those that need prayer and those that are on Debbie's prayer list. Kentucky Life with Debbie, she's got a prayer list. And God knows he don't have to know your name. He knows where you're at, and that we're asking for blessings for those, and that God will heal them, hold their hand, and go with them. When you ask me to pray for you in your comments, when you do, we just pray together right then and there. We don't waste around, but we do pray. When we pray and when we turn thanks, when James and I turn thanks for our food, we include you. He's a fine Christian man, and I changed churches and met him. I thought my life was over, kiddos. I was wrong, because when I met James, I was 71 years old. And you know, do you really get involved when you're getting older like that? But when we shook hands, we just really enjoyed shaking hands. But we got acquainted later. His wife passed away. My second husband passed away with Alzheimer's. And then after a few years, well, I knew him a long time, and knew him about 4 years or so. Well, we didn't even start dating until after our mates passed away. And it was wonderful when we got married. I was 76. We had a beautiful wedding, and Andy 967 stood up with James, and we miss Andy. He moved over it way over in Mount Washington, Kentucky, which is about 35, 40 minutes from here. So we talk. James talks to him on the phone, but they've been friends for so many years. It's good to have old friends, and mine died on me. They went on to heaven, and they were good Christians, both of them. So we'll see them later. Look on the bright side, my mom always said. So I'm looking on the bright side. And the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. You know, that 23rd Psalm is such a comfort. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and the staff, they comfort me. And I used to think, why the rod and the staff? Ain't the rod just comfort? And come to find out, I researched it. One does one job, the other does another. One of them keeps you from getting lost, the other pulls you close to the shepherd. So study that sometimes. I studied it one time. So your rod and your staff, and that yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So I'll let you go with that. Walk that path where the Lord will be pleased with you, because we're all walking a path, and I'm doing the best I can, and I'm not perfect. None of us are. All of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God, and that's true. But we thank Him and praise Him for all His goodness and mercy that He has showed to us. Love you. Bye bye.